So first of all, Waiting has hit the right chords with the audience, and commercially, I'm sure it will pick up gradually with time. But the film has penetrated through the hearts of people who have seen it. Director Anu Menon says that you confirming and coming on board was the highest point for her, and the email that you sent her is her prized possession. How did you find her as the director?
That's sweet of her to say that. Actually, the script was so wonderfully written that I decided to do it in the first reading itself. I have always found that when a script is well written, the actor's work is half done. You don't have to do anything except personify the character. That still doesn't make the actor's job terribly easy, but it makes it easier. And in this case, the writing was so wonderful that I just fell for it. And it occurred to me that everybody at some point in his life has been in a situation like this. Almost everybody.
Yes.
Even if it's not anyone near and dear, we've seen people who've been through it. We've seen spouses who have nursed, their partners for 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
In fact, there was this wonderful couple called Homi and Nelly Setna, who used to, and Nelly was on a wheelchair for the last 20 years of her life.
Oh.
And Homi used to bring her to every single play at the NCPA.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and after she passed away, Homi looked bereft, and passed away shortly after himself.
Oh.
But I suppose doing this gives some meaning to your own life. It's like having a child who's mentally challenged. Tending to that child is the meaning in itself. People say, okay, why did this have to happen to me? But anything can happen to anybody, quite simply. And I think that is why Waiting resonates so much with everyone, because we've all had somebody or the other dear in hospital, if not in a life-threatening situation. So, and the film turned out to be as pleasurable as I had expected. Anu is a wonderful director. We did have a few disagreements, but she was gracious enough, and I have to say, big enough to admit where she had perhaps slipped up a bit, because when you're writing a script and directing it, you can't look at it from the outside. It needs an outside view, and that's what I hope I provided. And so we got along great. A few tempers do flare on any shooting, but those are not important.
For somebody who has gone through similar situations, waiting for a dear one in a hospital to come out of the ailment, it's probably easier to portray that kind of character on screen.
Not necessarily. Sometimes it cuts too close for comfort, you see. It is not necessary to have experienced something in order to portray it. That's what I keep telling the students of acting who I work with, that don't buy this American nonsense about becoming the character and so on. No one does it. This is all rubbish. If you have become the character, then you're useless to everything else. If I had to become Shiv, then I would have had to stop eating for a month, because that's what Shiv has been doing. He throws away the food that comes to his house. He doesn't even eat it. Right? I should have got a job as a professor of literature. So all that doesn't happen. You have to use. It's a mixture of your observation and what you've imagined.
Right.
It's never only one or the other.
Or the other. But what drew you more to the script? The complexity of the characters, or the situations, or the treatment of the subject, which was very honest. And,
the simplicity with which the subject was treated, and that the writer did not fall prey to any of the tropes or the easy solutions. I would have been very disappointed with the script if my wife were to come back to her senses. It's too easy. Life doesn't offer such simple solutions. Or if her husband were to recover. So that's why the film is called Waiting, because
Yeah.
you don't know the outcome, and the audience is left in the same state of uncertainty as the two characters.
True. You have earlier said that you have not had that great experience, work experience with veteran filmmakers, the way you are enjoying working with young filmmakers, you know.
Yeah.
So does that mean we will see you
More new filmmakers, I hope. In fact, the next film that I am committed to do, the next film I have done, in fact, is with a new filmmaker, Aparna Singh, who's directed this film called Irada.
Okay.
And the one that I am slated to do at the end of this year is again by a young couple, and it's an adaptation of Shakespeare's Titus Andronicus.
I see.
Yeah.
And do you feel the new filmmakers are more tuned into what's happening around them, and you know, are they are more they are more of today's people? They are more
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, naturally,
Yeah.
they would be. They're also better informed.
Hmm.
Their craft is more sound than the filmmakers of the 70s, definitely.
Okay.
Their understanding of life is deeper.
Okay.
And they're making films on subjects which matter to them.
Yeah.
They're not only trying to make an esoteric film which will go to a festival, and not be seen anywhere else.
Yeah. So you see a mix of both in the current lot of filmmakers, that they have the understanding of giving a film which is strong on content, high on content, but at the same time it has a lot of commercial value and can appeal to various
I
audience.
don't know if a filmmaker, an honest filmmaker, calculates in that manner while making a film. I can understand a guy making 100 crore nonsensical multi-starrer to think that way. कि यहाँ पे कुछ ये डाल देते हैं, यहाँ पे कुछ emotion, यहाँ पे कुछ Indian sentiment डाल दो, all that stuff. But in a film like Waiting, I don't think it was on Anu's mind while she was writing it that this scene should be entertaining, or this scene should be very moving or sad. Or she just went for the truth of what would happen in that scene, and that's what I really liked.
But the film had a lot of emotional as well as funny moments too. I mean,
Sure,
people-
life has a lot of emotional and funny moments too.
So that way, you think this, will it be right to say that this film or the character was the closest to your heart, and at the same time one of the most difficult characters you have portrayed till date?
I don't really know what actors mean when they say that this is a difficult character to portray. I really need to learn. But I choose a character on the basis of whether I find an element of this person within me. And I'm able to find elements of almost any kind of creep or jerk or noble person or generous person or wise or idiotic or anything, There's Finding Fanny on one side and there's Mirza Ghalib on the other.
Yeah.
There are elements of both those guys in me. So,
Sure.
so what one has to do, and acting is hard work, whatever Rajat Kapoor may say, it is hard work, because you have to identify that quality within yourself
Yeah.
and unveil it.
Yeah.
And that's not always easy.
True.
It is at times slightly painful.
Yeah.
But that's part of your job. So each job to me is a challenge, and I look forward to it. I've never come across a character which I felt, hell, I won't be able to play this. Except perhaps Gandhi.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's quite surprising considering that.
I did later.
Oh, yeah.
But when we first embarked on it, on the play, I mean, the film I'm glad I did not get selected for, because I was too young.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Ben Kingsley, he had already been decided. That's a different story. But when I did the play, I have to admit, I was nervous because I had to approximate a character whose whole behavior and appearance and everything is so well recorded.
Yeah.
So I could not.
Recorded evidences of somebody who you are trying to portray on screen. Doesn't it make it easier relatively because you have reference point to go back to anyway.
Well, no, I'm not a good mimic. You know, for someone like Boman Irani or a Johnny Lever, it would be a good job in mimicry. But I don't believe in doing mimicry. It's difficult because you've got to approximate that voice and that, physical appearance and the walk and the way he sat and everything. So you can't use your imagination all that much over there.
True.
You have to, you're bound by very strict guidelines.
Right. Coming back to waiting, were there any special preparations that you did for the role? Maybe somebody in your family, friends who you must have observed going through this pain these years?
You don't start observing things a month before you shoot a film, you know.
No.
Your job as an actor is to observe and absorb all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. And that is why it's pretty laughable when actors say that I'm playing a Juki dweller, so I went to a Juki in my air-conditioned car and looked at the Jukis, you know. And that made me understand what Juki dwellers are like. That's all nonsense. An actor has to be observing all the time and storing it away, and you don't know where it will find an outlet.
Talking about another film, Udta Punjab, which is going to release soon. You know, the film is facing a lot of censorship issues because of the kind of language and everything. And Waiting to it had its share of, if I could use foul language or the expletives, you know. So
explicit language. I would say.
Explicit.
Yeah. So what do I have to say about that?
Yeah.
I think our censor should grow up. I wish the censor board were autonomous, composed of a group of educated, enlightened people who would be given the freedom because they should be appointed because they are qualified, because the government has faith in their abilities to judge.
True.
And they should be left alone.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they work under strict guidelines.
Okay.
Yes, they are told. They don't allow this, and you have to go by the letter. With our government, you always have to lakir ke fakir wali baat hai. So, I mean, it's pretty ludicrous. I mean, children will get frightened. I mean, that man doesn't seem to be playing video games or anything, you know. or watch his grandchildren, the kind of stuff you have on video games where you're shooting people's heads off and knocking them, you know, down precipices and blowing them up and stuff. The imagery in Jungle Book is not more frightening than that. You know, it turns my stomach when I see some of that stuff on any video games. And that is given a UA. Come on, what's wrong with us? And saying a particular word is insulting to females. This is the only concern for female respect that we are showing. That don't say a word like, you know, the C word, because it's disrespectful to women. Saying bastard is disrespectful to women. It's not disrespectful to the man who conceived the bastard. It's disrespectful to the woman. I mean, it's really quite absurd. Udta Punjab I don't really know about because I don't know what the film is about. And I have a feeling it will be a very good film though, because I think Abhishek Chaubey is a marvelous director.
And you have worked with him.
I worked with him twice.
Twice, yes. So, and when you worked with him, I mean, there hadn't been such censorship issues with Ishki and Dead Ishki.
It seems to have been getting worse. With time. The prudishness with which, you know, films are seen to be watched. It seems to be getting worse. I don't know where it's going to end. Where you can only have a movie where, you know, you recite nursery rhymes or something. And nursery rhymes, by the way, are the most violent things ever. Every damn nursery rhyme has somebody breaking his head, or a spider eating him up, or, you know, or something or the other.
Very true. You think today the filmmakers have become too box office conscious? You know, it's more. I mean, numbers do matter at some level, but when people make proposals or projects in the name of films, and you know, the only aim is to earn these many crores, and the content is being compromised in such situations. What do you have to say about that? You have tried to keep yourself away
Well,
from this stuff.
I sort of, I make use of them every now and then. I exploit these kind of movies. If they come to me and if they don't offend my sensibility completely, I even do them. And when your whole purpose of making a movie is to add so many zeros to your bank account, then you can't blame them for being obsessed with figures and with money and not giving a bit about what is in the film. It's it's quite scary how this tendency has proliferated in the whole film industry.
Yeah.
That you call a choreographer to choreograph a dance number in your film, and he will look at that dance number not as a scene, but as an item for him to show off his bits. The same with an action choreographer.
Yeah.
You want a fight? A fight is a scene.
Yes.
It's not just two people punching the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
And we are counting the punches. एक punch इसका, एक punch उसका, एक उसका, एक उसका. ये गिरा, फिर वो भी गिरा. You know, and you call a fight choreographer to do, and he approaches it the same way. Only somebody very, very, very gifted and insightful like a Sham Kaushal would conceive imaginative action scenes. But I frankly can't think of a second name after Sham Kaushal. And apart from Farah Khan, I can't think of a second choreographer who will use their imagination, you know, while and picturize a song or a fight as part of the story, not as an item in itself.
Yeah, yeah. You're known as an actor and an environmentalist too, you know, and are you currently involved in any campaign or something that you would like to talk about?
No, I'm not involved. I never was involved in any campaign. I was the face of Project Tiger. The state of the environment concerns me like it concerns everybody else, but I'm not an activist, and I do my bit. And I believe that rather than having grandiose, you know, plans that I will do this and I will do that, I think you should do whatever is within your capabilities to do. I've said this often to people that if you can't water the little plant on your windowsill, you won't give a damn about the Amazon, the rainforests which are vanishing. If you can't comfort a little frightened kitten who comes to your door, what will you care about vanishing wildlife? So that's what I believe in, starting small. And I'm often asked this, what would you suggest, what should happen to set the country right? Set the country right. Where you start obeying the traffic lights for a start, to begin with. Start having some consideration, let the other pass before you to begin with.
Yeah.
We Indians seem to have the biggest egos in the world. If anybody overtakes you, it becomes an ego problem. If anybody wants to cross in front of your car, it becomes an ego problem.